3 days after Laura Harper disappeared, police were still searching for her. Her husband, Daniel, kept telling them the same thing. He didn't know where she was. He said she had left the house during the night. He said he was worried. He said he wanted his wife to come home. But there was one place Daniel never wanted police to look: his garage. Because beneath the concrete floor, Laura was already there. And when detectives finally broke through that floor, they found the missing woman only a few feet from where Daniel had spent 3 days pretending to help find her. The question was no longer where Laura had gone. The question was much worse. How long had Daniel been planning for her to disappear? Fairview, Ohio, was the kind of town where people noticed when something strange happened. It had quiet streets, small businesses, schools, churches, and homes that had stood there for decades. Willow Street was even quieter. The houses were close together. Most had small yards. Most families knew their neighbors. And on one Tuesday morning in October 2024, the people living on Willow Street woke up to police cars outside the Harper home. Laura Harper was missing. Laura was 42 years old. She had shoulder-length brown hair and green eyes. She was about average height and usually dressed in simple office clothes. On the morning she disappeared, her purse was still inside the house. Her phone was on the kitchen counter. Her car was in the driveway. Her house keys were on a small wooden tray beside the back door. It looked strange, very strange, but there was no blood, no broken door, no smashed window, no sign that anyone had forced their way inside. Her husband, Daniel Harper, was the one who called police. Daniel was 46. He had short, dark brown hair with gray at the temples. He was clean-shaven, with light blue eyes and an average build. He worked as a home repair contractor. That morning, he was wearing a dark blue t-shirt, faded jeans, and black work boots. When police arrived, Daniel stood at the front door waiting for them. He looked tired. He looked worried. And he told the officer exactly what had happened. At least, that was what he wanted them to believe. The first officer on the scene was Jason Miller. He asked Daniel when he had last seen his wife. Daniel thought for a moment. "Last night," he said. "What time?" "About 10:30. "What happened after that?" "We argued." Miller looked at him. "About what?" "Money." Daniel quickly added that it was not a serious argument. He said couples argued. He said Laura had been stressed. He said she had gone downstairs while he went to bed. When he woke up, she was gone. Daniel said he checked the house, then the backyard, then the driveway. He found her purse, her phone, her keys, but Laura was nowhere. "I don't understand it," Daniel said. "She would never just leave like this." Those words would later become important, because Daniel was right about one thing. Laura had not simply walked away. She had never left the house alive. Detective Marcus Reed arrived shortly after 9 in the morning. Marcus was 48 years old. He was tall and athletic. He had closely cropped black hair with gray at the sides and a short, trimmed beard. His eyes were brown. He normally wore a dark navy suit, white shirt, and dark tie when working a major case. Marcus had worked enough missing person cases to know that the first few hours were important. He walked through the house with Daniel. The home looked normal. Too normal. The kitchen was clean. The living room was neat. There were family photographs on the walls. One showed Daniel and Laura smiling beside a lake. Another showed them at a family wedding. They looked happy, but Marcus noticed something. The coffee machine had been used. 2 cups were sitting beside the sink. One was clean. The other still had coffee inside. Marcus asked Daniel about it. Daniel said Laura had made coffee before she disappeared. Marcus looked at the clock. Laura usually left for work around 7:30. If she had planned to leave, why would she leave her phone and purse behind? Marcus asked Daniel another question. "Where are her keys?" Daniel pointed toward the back door. "They're right there." Marcus walked over. Laura's keys were on the wooden tray. Then Marcus noticed Daniel watching him. Not casually, very closely. It was the first moment Marcus wondered if Daniel was afraid of what police might find. Investigators began looking at Laura's final day. Her coworkers said she arrived at work at 8:01 that morning. She seemed normal. She worked. She answered emails. She had lunch with 2 coworkers. One coworker later told police Laura seemed worried. When asked why, she said, "Something is wrong at home." That was all Laura said. At 5:20 p.m., Laura left work. A traffic camera caught her silver Honda driving toward Willow Street. At 5:47 p.m., her car arrived home. That was the last confirmed image of Laura alive. But investigators found something else. At 6:18 p.m., Daniel bought several bags of concrete from a hardware store. He also bought a shovel, plastic gloves, and a large mixing tub. The cashier remembered him because he paid in cash. When Marcus asked Daniel about the purchase, Daniel said he couldn't remember it. Marcus showed him the receipt. Daniel stared at it. Then his answer changed. "I must have bought it for work." "What job?" Daniel named a customer. Investigators called that customer. The customer said Daniel had no job scheduled there. That was the first clear lie, and Marcus knew it wouldn't be the last. Daniel's garage stood behind the house. It was full of tools, boxes, wood, old paint cans, construction equipment, and Daniel's pickup truck. Marcus walked inside. The concrete floor looked old. Cracks ran through several areas. But near the back wall, one section looked different. The color was lighter. The surface was smoother, and it looked newer. Marcus pointed at it. "What's this?" Daniel looked at the floor. "Just a repair." "When did you do it?" "A few weeks ago." "What was wrong?" "Water." Marcus nodded. He didn't push him. Not yet. But when the forensic team later looked at the concrete, they found something strange. The new section was much newer than Daniel claimed. Very new. And underneath it was disturbed soil. Marcus now had a reason to look closer. But he needed evidence. A feeling was not enough. Investigators searched Laura's phone records. They found a text message sent to her sister, Emily, at 8:43 p.m. It said, "We need to talk tomorrow." Emily replied, "Everything okay?" Laura never answered. That message changed the case. Police spoke with Emily. She told Marcus that Laura had been worried about Daniel. She said he was hiding something. Emily explained. "What?" "Money." Laura had recently learned that Daniel had been moving money from their savings account. The amount was not small. Nearly $38,000 was missing. Daniel had transferred the money into another account. Laura didn't know about it. She had planned to ask him about it. She had also told Emily that she was thinking about leaving him. Marcus asked Emily one final question. "When was the last time you spoke to Laura?" Emily looked down. "That night." "What did she say?" Emily took a breath. "She said she was scared of what Daniel might do." Police reconstructed the final hours. At around 10:40 p.m., Daniel and Laura were in the kitchen. They argued about money. Daniel admitted this, but he said it was only an argument. Nothing more. He claimed he went upstairs around 11:15. Laura stayed downstairs. Daniel said he fell asleep, but Laura had a small security camera in the kitchen. She had installed it 2 weeks earlier. She had never told Daniel. The camera stored its recordings online. Most of the video was missing, but forensic experts recovered part of the audio. At 10:46 p.m., Laura's voice could be heard. "Where did the money go?" Daniel answered, "I told you, it's for the business." "You lied to me." "Laura, stop. I'm leaving." There was silence. Then Laura said, "If you touch me, I'm calling the police." A loud sound followed. Then a chair moved. Then Laura screamed. The recording ended. Marcus listened to it twice. Then a third time. He knew something had happened inside that kitchen, and Daniel had not told them. Police returned to the Harper house with a search warrant. This time they searched everything. The bedrooms, the kitchen, the basement, Daniel's truck, the backyard, and the garage. Daniel watched from the driveway. He was still wearing the same type of clothes he had worn during the first interview. A dark work shirt, jeans, and black boots. He kept asking what they were looking for. Marcus didn't answer. Inside the garage, forensic investigators examined the concrete. A specialist noticed small cracks around the edges. They used special tools to check the area. The results were unusual. The ground beneath the concrete had been disturbed. Marcus looked at the garage floor. Then he looked at Daniel through the window. "Break it open," Marcus said. The team began removing the concrete. One piece at a time. Daniel watched from outside. For the first time, his face changed. He looked nervous, then frightened, then almost angry. At 2:37 p.m., one of the investigators stopped. He had found something. A piece of green fabric. Marcus stepped closer. The team carefully removed more soil. Then they saw a woman's hand. The search for Laura Harper was over. She was beneath her husband's garage floor. The medical examiner identified the body as Laura Harper. She was still wearing the clothes she had worn the night before. Pale green sweater, dark jeans. Her wedding ring was still on her finger. There was no question about who she was, but investigators still needed to know how she died. The autopsy found a serious injury to the back of Laura's head. There were also bruises on her arms, and marks around one wrist. The injuries suggested she had tried to protect herself. The medical examiner could not say everything about the final moments. But one thing was clear. Laura had not simply fallen and died. There had been a violent struggle. Daniel had lied, and now investigators wanted to know why. Daniel agreed to speak with Marcus again. This time he had a lawyer with him. Marcus placed the evidence on the table. The concrete receipt, the financial records, the recovered audio, the security footage. Daniel looked at each piece. Then Marcus said, "Laura is dead." Daniel closed his eyes. "We found her in your garage." Daniel said nothing. "You told us she left." "Nothing. You told us you didn't know where she was." Daniel looked at Marcus. "I panicked." Marcus leaned forward. "About what?" Daniel started crying. Then he told a new story. He said Laura attacked him. He pushed her. She fell. Her head hit the counter. He said he didn't mean to hurt her. He said he thought she was dead. Then he made the worst decision of his life. He hid her body. But Marcus didn't believe the story. There was too much evidence against it. Investigators went deeper into Daniel's finances. They discovered that his contracting business was in trouble. He owed money. He had unpaid bills. He had loans. He was behind on taxes. The $38,000 he took from the savings account had gone toward business debts. Laura had found out, and she had planned to leave him. But there was another discovery. 18 months earlier, Daniel had taken out a $250,000 life insurance policy on Laura. Daniel was the beneficiary. At the time, he told Laura it was simply a way to protect the family. Now investigators had a different question. Had Daniel been planning for Laura's death long before the night she disappeared? There was no clear proof of that. But the timing was disturbing. And then investigators found something even stranger. The day after Laura disappeared, Daniel contacted the insurance company. He asked about the policy. He also asked how long a missing person had to be gone before a death could be declared. That call happened less than 24 hours after Laura vanished. The case took another turn when detectives spoke to a neighbor. The neighbor had a security camera facing the street. Investigators requested footage from the night Laura disappeared. The footage showed Daniel's pickup truck leaving the house at 11:18 p.m. 30 minutes later, it returned. At 11:31 p.m., the garage door opened. Daniel entered. At 12:04 a.m., he walked into the garage carrying something wrapped in a dark blanket. At 1:17 a.m., he came outside carrying a shovel. At 3:42 a.m., he drove away. At 5:11 a.m., he returned. The next afternoon, Daniel told police he had gone to buy concrete. But the camera showed him buying and using materials during the night. His story was finished. Investigators believed Daniel had killed Laura during the argument. But they still had one question. Why had he left her phone in the kitchen? The answer came from the phone itself. At 11:02 p.m., after the violent argument, Daniel had picked up Laura's phone. He sent a message to Emily. It said, "I'm going to bed. We can talk tomorrow." Emily thought Laura had written it. She had no reason to question it. But forensic experts found that the message had been typed after Laura was already dead. Daniel had been pretending to be Laura. He wanted Emily to believe everything was normal. It was a small detail, but it showed something important. Daniel wasn't simply panicking. He was creating a story. He was trying to buy time. 9 days after Laura disappeared, police arrested Daniel Harper. He was standing outside his house when Marcus approached. Daniel was wearing a gray work shirt, dark jeans, and black boots. Marcus read him his rights. Daniel didn't fight. He didn't run. He simply asked, "Can I call my lawyer?" Marcus nodded. Daniel was placed in handcuffs. As officers walked him toward the police car, Daniel turned around. He looked at the house, then at the garage. He stared at the spot where Laura had been buried. For several seconds, he didn't move. Then he lowered his head and walked away. The trial began months later. The prosecution showed the jury everything: Laura's financial records, the missing money, the concrete purchase, the hidden camera recording, the neighbor's security footage, the insurance policy, and the false message sent from Laura's phone. The defense argued that Laura's death was an accident. They said Daniel had made terrible choices after her death. But the prosecution argued that Daniel had done much more than hide an accident. He had lied. He had moved her body. He had buried her. He had pretended she was missing. And he had tried to make her family believe she was still alive. The jury took less than 6 hours to reach a decision. Daniel Harper was found guilty of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 35 years in prison. Several months after the trial, Emily returned to the Harper house. She stood inside the garage. The old concrete had been removed. A new floor had been installed. Everything looked clean, normal, almost peaceful. But Emily knew what had happened there. She looked down at the floor. Then she remembered Laura's last message. "We need to talk tomorrow." Tomorrow never came. Emily later said the hardest part wasn't knowing that Laura had died. It was knowing that Laura had been trying to tell someone that she was afraid. She had reached out. She had sent a message. She had tried to warn her sister, but she never got the chance to explain. Daniel thought the garage floor would hide everything. He thought Laura's phone would make her disappearance believable. He thought the missing person story would protect him. But he made one mistake after another. He bought concrete. He lied about when he bought it. He lied about the argument. He lied about Laura leaving. He sent a fake message from her phone. And he forgot about the camera across the street. Most importantly, he forgot that people notice things: a receipt, a bank transfer, a strange patch of concrete, a late-night trip, a message that didn't sound like Laura. Each piece seemed small. None of them proved the whole story by itself. But together, they told the truth. Laura Harper had not disappeared. She had been murdered. And the person who called police to report her missing was the same person who had buried her beneath his own garage. For 3 days, Daniel Harper stood in front of cameras, police officers, neighbors, and Laura's family, and asked everyone to help find his missing wife. But he already knew where she was. She was less than 20 feet from the back door. Beneath concrete he had poured with his own hands. He thought he had buried the evidence. Instead, he buried the biggest clue in the entire case. Because fresh concrete on an old garage floor is hard to explain. A missing woman is easy to lie about, but the ground remembers. And eventually, someone has to dig. Laura Harper was reported missing on a Tuesday morning. 3 days later, police found her beneath her husband's garage. And the man who had asked them to find her was the man who had made sure she couldn't be found.